Hi, my name is Jamie Davis, and I chose to present my book selections on the civil rights movement for children around the 5th grade level. At this level of development, as our textbook says, children are able to read longer books and chapter books. They're also able to grasp the concept of history and the passage of time. Children at this age are interested in reading about the lives of people similar to them, so they like to read books about other kids. Our textbook also talks about how culturally diverse literature in the United States consists of stories about people that are outside of the Anglo-American ethnic group. The United States is one of the most culturally diverse nations on the earth, and rather than let our diversity destroy us, we should embrace it and encourage young readers to explore the influence of other ethnic groups on our country. The first book that I chose is called Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges. At age 6, Ruby Bridges became the first African American student to attend an all-white school in New Orleans. In addition to her childhood memories, she also shares her perceptions of the role that she played in the civil rights movement. There are also sepia-toned photographs that enhance this personal narrative. And I chose this book because kids at this age are interested in reading about other kids, and I thought that they would find it compelling and interesting. I think that the vintage style photographs contribute to the time period that it took place. I also like how Ruby inserts her adult input about what happened in her childhood. I think it's important for kids to become educated on the women of this time period, as it was especially hard for them to speak out and have a voice during this time, and that contributed to my decision as well. The next book that I chose is called Witnesses to Freedom: Young People Who Fought for Civil Rights, and it is by Belinda Rochelle. While adult leaders' contributions to the civil rights movement have been well chronicled, those made by young people have not received as much attention. Rochelle relates the pivotal roles played by young African Americans in major events of the civil rights movement. A chapter in the book is devoted to each event. The author describes the circumstances surrounding each occurrence and highlights the experiences and feelings of those involved. Ranging in ages from 8 to the upper teens, the subjects poignantly describe how their commitment to their cause propelled them to take a stand for freedom, often at great personal risk. Some of the individuals portrayed may not be well known, but their stories are inspiring and touching. The author does a commendable job of explaining the issues and relating events in an understandable manner for kids. The black and white photographs adequately reinforce the text, and the jacket photo is striking and appealing. I chose this book because it is also centered on younger people, and it makes it more interesting and relatable for kids to read. I like how it describes a lot of different events in the civil rights movement and why they are significant in history. The next book I chose is called Who Was Martin Luther King Jr. by Bonnie Bader. This book tells the story of the early life of Martin Luther King Jr. and how his role as an activist came to be. It talks about how he traveled all over the country organizing protests, marches, and sit-ins. He was thrown in jail many times for his work, but he never lost hope as he continued to fight for equal rights in a peaceful manner. One of the unique features of this book is the extra information it provides about people and events discussed throughout the book. Because the author wrote the book's chapters to coincide with particular events in his life, readers can easily read a single chapter individually. Upper elementary school children will enjoy the challenge of this chapter book, but they won't be overwhelmed because it includes pictures every few pages to help them understand what the story is talking about. I chose this book because I think it's necessary for kids to learn about one of the most monumental figures, not only in the civil rights movement, but in this country's history. I thought that this book portrayed his life in a readable and interesting way, and it's a great way for kids to learn more about the civil rights movement, and it does so in a straightforward and educational way. The next book that I picked is called Rosa Parks: My Story by Rosa Parks and Jim Haskins. This well-known story is considerably refreshed by Rosa Parks' personal narrative, accentuated by numerous black and white photographs. In simple, gracious, compelling language, she describes her childhood, her family life, and her educational opportunities, and she provides with clarity the general cruel regard for the contributions of Black women by the movement's organizers. Her references to so many people may overwhelm some readers at times, but this does not diminish the overall impact of a wonderful, warm biography. I chose this book because, like the others, this book is about an extremely important activist in the civil rights movement. I chose it because it was written by Rosa Parks herself, therefore it must be accurate. I think the photographs throughout the book add to the educational purposes and keep the attention of the reader. Lastly, I chose this book because, as stated before, I find it essential that children are aware of the women of the civil rights movement, and Rosa Parks was an important woman during this time. The last book I picked is called Our Children Can Soar, a celebration of Rosa, Barack, and the pioneers of change, and it is written by Michelle Cook. This unique picture book is part history, part poetry, and entirely inspirational. It takes the reader step by step through the cumulative story of the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, showing how select pioneers' achievements led up to the landmark moment when we elected our first Black president. Each historical figure is rendered by a different award-winning illustrator, highlighting the singular and vibrant contribution that each figure made. I chose this book because I really like how, unlike the others, it traveled through history to lead up to the election of our current president. I think that it will really help children to understand the importance of the civil rights movement and how it has affected our country's history until now. I really enjoy the different illustrations for each key figure in the movement, as I think it keeps the book interesting and it adds to the individuality of each person. Overall, I think that these 5 different books are excellent choices for kids around the 5th grade level to learn more about the civil rights movement. I think that each one of them has certain strengths and differences that they can all work together or they can all be learned separately. But overall, I think that all of these books are great choices to learn about the civil rights movement.